And now I don't know who is gonna be next for Ilia. If we talk about our fights, I have good fights now, and I know he's gonna fight soon, and we'll see what's gonna be happening. He want to fight in White House, and I also want to be there.
Could
I
make for
think,
you,
yeah,
Islam?
for the like, it's gonna be like big like for MMA community, it's gonna be big fights now, and people want this fight, and if UFC want this fight, and we can do this.
What do
I
you
don't
think?
know. I know UFC want to do like some big fight in White House. Which fight is gonna be bigger than this?
You know, how's it feel like, because now you're in the UFC, you're waiting for your debut fight, but there's such a, it's almost like clan mentality, like tribe mentality between Brazilians and like Caucasus, you know, the Russians, you know, because who's the best grappler? Because it was always Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but now it's
Sambo,
Russian wrestling and all that.
Yeah, the Sambo guys.
How do the Brazilians see like the Khabibs and all of them? How do they see the rivalry?
Like for me, I have a lot of respect for Habib. You know, like I like how he fight. You know, he not just like sambo. He trains jiu-jitsu as well. You know, so he mix it. You know, so I think he's a smart guy. But I think Brazilians have to learn new things too. You know, when I come to US, I'm start learning like wrestling. You know, not just jiu-jitsu. You know, wrestling, and I put in my game. You know, I think the MMA game is this now.
The coaching rivalry is getting heated. Islam Makhachev just called out Ilia Topuria for the White House, and JDM's coach is making bold claims about Dagestani wrestling. If you're new here, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Today we're breaking down UFC 322's biggest stories. Let's dive in. Islam Makhachev has his sights set beyond UFC 322. In an interview with ESPN's Brett Okamoto, the former lightweight champion revealed his master plan for the historic White House card. If Makhachev defeats Della Maddalena for the welterweight title on November 15th at Madison Square Garden, he wants Ilia Topuria next at the White House event on June 14th. Makhachev told ESPN, "He wants to fight at the White House. I also want to be there. It's going to be a big fight for the MMA community. If people want this fight, if the UFC wants this fight, we can do this. I know the UFC wants to do a big fight in the White House. Which fight is going to be bigger than this?"
Is that the biggest fight for you, do you think? And again, I know I almost don't like asking these questions because I know you got a big fight in front of you, but is that the biggest fight that they could
I
make
think,
for you?
yeah, for the like, it's gonna be like big like for MMA community, it's gonna be big fights now, and people want this fight, and if UFC want this fight, and we can do this.
Do you think the UFC wants this fight? Because I get the sense that they kind of don't. What do
I
you
don't
think?
know. I know UFC want to do like some big fight in White House.
He's absolutely right. This would be a clash between two pound-for-pound greats. Topuria sits at #1 in the rankings after crushing Charles Oliveira to win lightweight gold, while Makhachev is ranked 3rd after his legendary run at 155 pounds. The best part? Topuria has already said he's willing to move up to welterweight to make this fight happen. No weight-cutting excuses, just pure combat between two champions. Makhachev acknowledged Topuria's skills, saying, "I saw the Oliveira fight. He's good. I have a good fight now, and I know Ilia is going to fight soon. We'll see what's going to happen. If Islam wins at UFC 322, he'll match Anderson Silva's UFC record with 16 consecutive victories. Imagine breaking that record at the White House against Ilia Topuria. Now here's where the rivalry gets spicy. Della Maddalena's coach Craig Jones just made a claim that's rattling the Dagestani camp.
American wrestling is not good. American wrestlers, when it hits the ground, the referee saves them and stands them back up. In MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, we continue, and that's where really we have an advantage over American wrestlers. All wrestlers, especially Dagestani wrestlers, we've ruined their careers as well.
Jones argues that the famous Dagestani wrestling style was actually inspired by Georges St-Pierre. Yes, the Canadian legend might be the blueprint behind Khabib and Islam's dominance. Before you lose it, Jones gave Dagestan full credit as the greatest wrestling region on earth. He said on YouTube, "To be fair, Dagestan is statistically the greatest wrestling region on earth. By any metric, medal totals, medal density, world champions, or dominance in their own Russian national championships. Per capita, they produced more Olympic medals than anywhere else."
Ist etwas, das wirklich nur ein Mann mit einem Appetit wie GSP verstehen kann. Die Hosen kamen aus, aber die Schuhe blieben an. Fairerweise muss man sagen, dass Dagestan statistisch gesehen die größte Ringerregion der Welt ist. Gemessen an allen Maßstäben. Egal ob Medaillenspiegel, Medaillendichte, Weltmeister oder Dominanz bei den eigenen russischen Landesmeisterschaften. Pro Kopf haben sie mehr olympische Medaillen gewonnen als irgendwo sonst.
But then Jones dropped the statistics that changed everything. He revealed, before GSP, Russians sat around 35 to 40% takedown accuracy. Then GSP happened, and suddenly, post-GSP, Dagestani's Khabib sat at a 48% takedown accuracy, and Islam 53% takedown accuracy. Something changed.
Vor GSP lagen die Russen bei einer Takedown-Genauigkeit von etwa 35 bis 40%. Dann kam GSP. Und plötzlich nach GSP hatten Dagestanis Khabib eine Takedown-Genauigkeit von 48%, Islam eine Takedown-Genauigkeit von 53%. Etwas änderte sich.
Jones explained what that change was. They entered the modern era of technology, and that first VHS tape that they watched was GSP taking down the heavily credentialed Josh Koscheck. GSP broke every golden rule of wrestling. He bent at the hips. He had a short penetration step, and he was shooting off the jab. This is huge. Jones is saying the Dagestanis took their Olympic-level base and added GSP's MMA-specific innovations. The result? The most dominant wrestling in UFC history.
Ansahen war GSP, wie den hochkarätigen Josh Koscheck zu Boden brachte. GSP brach jede goldene Regel des Wrestlings. Er beugte sich in der Hüfte. Er hatte einen kurzen Penetrationsschritt und er feuerte den Jab ab.
And Jones isn't just talking, he's using this analysis to prepare Della Maddalena. He previously helped Alexander Volkanovski prepare for Makhachev, so he knows this matchup inside out. Adding fuel to the fire, Makhachev recently told Brett Okamoto that JDM has weak takedown defense that would play to his advantage. Makhachev opened up to ESPN MMA.
If UFC won this fight, and we can do this.
Do you think the UFC wants this fight? Because I get the sense that they kind of don't. What do
I
you
don't
think?
know. I know UFC want to do like some big fight in White House. Which fight is gonna be bigger than this?
Yeah. He's talking about you win. He wants to go up to 170. I imagine that's probably where you would want the fight, because you don't want to go back to 155, right? You don't want to have to be sitting there and cutting weight again, right? So you're on board with this idea of 170?
Daniel Cormier noticed the transformation, stating on his YouTube channel,
JDM don't wrestle, but he was defending well, and he puts damage on you.
Off rip.
Starts putting damage on you, and he can box.
So how do you see that fight with him and Islam? Does he have the ability to beat a guy like Islam?
He'll get takedown attempts coming at him very early. This time. The last fight, he didn't have to deal with that when he was fresh. If Islam can start to pressure him early and take him down early, or even just make him wrestle, he might struggle. I don't know that he's ever felt anything like he's going to feel, because it's not going to be double legs and single legs with Islam. It's going to be him playing with his feet, tripping him, moving around on the octagon side, doing things that he don't recognize as freely.
But she didn't answer the question.
The problem is, I can only give you that because I can't truly make a prediction. The job doesn't allow it.
But there's good news. Coach Javier Mendez revealed to Red Corner MMA.
Do you believe that Islam could be the 185-pound champion if he wanted to, let's say, jump from 155 to middleweight at 185?
I 100% feel Islam can do that if that's what he wanted to do. But it's what he wants to do that will happen, not his ability. His ability, come on, I see it in the gym, guys. I see it. So I know how good this guy is. So yeah, 185 is not going to be an issue for him. It's a matter of whether he wants to. When he comes in training camp, he's always walking around 179, 180. So obviously, if he ever went to middleweight, he'd have to put on some muscle. But not saying he can't, and not saying he won't or doesn't want it. I don't know. We never discussed it. We have discussed welterweight, but again, as long as Bilal's there, that I just don't see that ever happening.
And last one from me. Earlier today, Islam Makhachev did an interview and said he's not ruling out coming back down to 155. But if it was up to you, would you rather fight him at 170 to get that third title, or would you be willing to fight him at 55 because that's the division that people say he might be the best at?
It would be much better for me to fight him in 170. and I will beat him and get the third title. That will be the best scenario for me.
Ilia Topuria has just thrown down the gauntlet, calling out Islam Makhachev for what could be the biggest fight in UFC history at the White House card. But hold on, Islam's legendary coach Javier Mendez has fired back with a clear warning message, exposing Topuria's weakness and sending a clear warning to El Matador. And wait till you hear what Topuria responded on Twitter. This is getting spicy. Let's break it all down. All right, let's set the stage. Ilia Topuria is riding the highest wave of his career right now. The Spanish-Georgian superstar made history by becoming the only undefeated double champion in UFC history, knocking out Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 to capture the lightweight title. Before that, he was the first man to ever knock out Max Holloway with strikes. The man is on an absolute tear with 17 consecutive victories. Speaking about the historic UFC White House card scheduled for June 14, 2026, Topuria didn't hold back. I want to fight Islam Makhachev at the White House. It would be one of the biggest fights in UFC history. No one has fought for a third tie. Let that sink in, folks. A third UFC title. This would be absolutely unprecedented. Topuria continued with some serious respect for Makhachev. Islam finished his old division with complete dominance and changed weight classes, so I think it will be a huge, magnetic fight. But then came the warning to Islam. If Islam loses to Della Maddalena at UFC 322, he can return back to Dagestan to his farm and continue herding sheep. But if he wins, I will definitely rise. Definitely, 100%.
ერთ-ერთი ყველაზე დიდი ბრძოლა იქნება, რაც საერთოდ UFC-ის ისტორიაში შემდგარა. მესამე ტიტულზე არავის არ უბრძოლია. ისლამამ თავისი ძველი დივიზია მთლიანი დომინაციით დაამთავრა და მერე წონა შეიცვალა, ასე რომ მგონია, რომ ანუ ძალიან დიდი მაგნიტუდის ბრძოლა იქნება, რაც UFC-საც და ჩვენს ყველას ვაწყობს.
Shots fired. Topuria just put everything on the line. He wants Islam at welterweight for a third championship. Now here's where things get really interesting. Islam Makhachev's legendary coach, Javier Mendez, the man who coached Khabib Nurmagomedov, Daniel Cormier, and Cain Velasquez to UFC glory, has been studying Topuria. And he's found something. Appearing on the No Time podcast, Mendez was asked how he would strategize against Topuria. His response? Pure coaching gold. First, Mendez gave Topuria his flowers. I would say with him, stay out of boxing range, 1,000,000%. He's got the best boxing in the business in MMA. He even thinks he can beat Terrence Crawford. That's how confident he is in his boxing.
I would say with him, stay out of boxing range. 1,000,000%. Stay out of boxing range. He's got the best boxing in the business in MMA. He's got it so much that he even thinks he can beat Crawford. so that's how confident he is in his boxing. His boxing's good.
The best boxing in MMA. That's high praise from one of the sport's most respected coaches. But then came the bombshell revelation. Your big task is to keep him away from you. And he's got decent wrestling. From people I've spoken to who have trained with him, he's got decent jiu-jitsu also, so he's almost the complete package, but he's not.
But your big task is to keep him away from you, and he's got decent wrestling. And so he's also got, from people I've spoken to that have trained with him, he's got decent jiu-jitsu also. So he's almost a complete package, but he's not.
Wait for it. He lacks in the kicking area. The weakest link on him would be the kicking area, and then you have to test your grappling with him to see if yours is better than his. We've yet to see how great it is. It's not great, but we've yet to see how good it really is.
He lacks the kicking area. So the weakest link on him would be the kicking area, and then you have to test your grappling with him to see if yours is better than his. We've yet to see how great it is. It's not great, but we've yet to see how good it really is.
Boom. There it is. Mendes just exposed Topuria's game plan blueprint. Let me break down what Mendes is saying. Topuria's strengths. Elite boxing, best in MMA according to Mendes. Decent wrestling, decent jiu-jitsu, incredible knockout power. Topuria's weakness. Kicking game, limited. Untested high-level grappling. Mendes's strategy. Use kicks, knees, Muay Thai angles to keep distance, and test Topuria's grappling in deep waters where he hasn't been before. Now, you know Topuria wasn't going to let that slide without a response. This back and forth is exactly what the UFC needs. This fight sells itself. Let's talk about what makes this super fight so compelling. First, Islam Makhachev has to get past Della Maddalena at UFC 322 on November 15th at Madison Square Garden. That's a tough test. Della Maddalena is no joke. He knocked out Belal Muhammad to win the welterweight title. If Islam wins, Topuria has made it clear. He's moving up to 170 pounds for that third belt. But here's the twist. Dana White has mentioned Topuria might defend his lightweight title first at the UFC's debut Paramount event in January 2026, possibly against Justin Gaethje. So the path to this super fight isn't straightforward, but the desire is clearly there from both sides.
I wanted to talk to you. Obviously, you had a big week at the UFC. Some crazy stuff went down. With Ilia moving up to lightweight, vacating the title. You weren't able to announce it then, but is it safe to say that Ilia Islam is the fight that we're sort of working towards, or could he be fighting?
There's still other possibilities. So there's a lot of shit going on right now.
Yeah.
Let's break down how this fight could actually play out based on Mendes's revelations. Islam Makhachev's path to victory, following his coach's blueprint. Utilize leg kicks, body kicks, and work at range. Use Muay Thai clinch with knees. If the fight goes to the ground, this is where Islam has a massive advantage. His grappling pedigree from the Dagestani school is legendary.
Das sollte der Islam sein. Das war die große Sache. Aber er ist ins Weltergewicht aufgestiegen. Glaubst du, er wechselte ins Weltergewicht, um dich zu umgehen oder wegen seiner Ziele?
Weil er seine eigenen Ziele hat. Das ist meine Meinung. Denkst du immer noch, dass das ein Kampf ist, der stattfinden sollte? Ihr beide schmiedet Vermächtnisse in verschiedenen Gewichtsklassen. Denkst du, dass das ein wichtiger Kampf ist, der stattfinden sollte? Wir werden sehen. wie er sich im Weltergewicht schlägt. Wenn er den Titel gewinnt, gewinne ich den Titel im Leichtgewicht. Vielleicht steige ich auf oder er kommt